The earth trembled, and the heavens went dark as the sky itself seemed to split open. A hush fell over the world, like a breath held too long, as the first seal was broken. On the winds of judgment, the rider appeared. The first horseman emerged from the abyss, a man on a white horse, carrying a bow, his eyes burning with fire. His mission was clear. He rode across the earth, bringing conquest and war in his wake. A crown was placed upon his head, as though to mock the power of kings. But the crown was not one of honor. It was a crown of tyranny, oppression, and the endless march of empires. The white horse was not a symbol of peace. It was a harbinger of chaos. And the world trembled beneath his footsteps as war spread like wildfire, sweeping through nations, turning hope into ashes. The earth quaked beneath him, the sounds of distant wars and bloodshed filling the air. The nations fought and bled, the cries of the innocent drowned out by the clash of steel. The horseman rode on, and his path was marked by destruction and sorrow. Then, as the heavens shuddered, the second seal was broken, and with it, the second horseman appeared, a rider on a fiery red horse, carrying a great sword. His presence was suffocating, and as he rode, the earth seemed to split beneath him. Peace was shattered, and bloodshed followed in his wake. This rider's task was clear: to take peace in the earth, to stir up violence, civil war, and division. Families turned against each other. Neighbors became enemies. Hatred poisoned the hearts of men. The sky darkened even further, and the blood-red hue of the horseman's presence seemed to stretch over the earth, turning the world into a battlefield. As violence ravaged the land, the rider brought with him death and destruction, and the air was thick with the smell of smoke and burnt flesh. The once hopeful world was now soaked in sorrow and pain, its future uncertain, its people broken. The third seal was broken, and from the shadows of the end-time chaos, the third horseman emerged, riding a black horse. He held a pair of scales, his eyes hollow and cold. The scales of justice were no more. The balances of wealth were tipped in favor of those who hoarded and consumed. He brought famine, and the earth felt the weight of hunger and poverty. The poor were ravaged by scarcity, while the rich grew bloated with greed. A voice cried out, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. Do not harm the oil and the wine." The famine had come not just to rob, but to divide, to make the rich wealthier and the poor suffer. The world was being hollowed out from within, the very foundations of society cracking under the weight of this third rider's arrival. The promise of justice seemed a distant memory, as famine spread its grip and hope faded into hunger. And then the fourth seal was broken. A final breath, a last gasp before the end. From the abyss emerged the fourth horseman, riding a pale horse. His name was Death, and Hades followed closely behind. The horseman's eyes were hollow, his skin pale and sickly. He brought plague, disease, and the very finality of death itself. The graveyards grew deeper, and the earth swallowed the souls of those who had been ravaged by the other riders. Pestilence spread faster than any disease, and the cries of the dying echoed across the earth. Wherever the pale rider rode, the shadow of death followed. The world became a place of suffering, as people were swept into the eternal void. Their bodies fell, their souls claimed by the cold embrace of Hades. The rider and Hades together seemed to tear through humanity, leaving nothing but an empty, ravaged world in their wake. The sky turned black, the sun hidden by the weight of suffering. As the 4 riders rode across the earth, they brought with them the end of an era, the crushing weight of judgment. The earth had been marked by violence, famine, plague, and death, and the world's future seemed bleak, filled with terror and suffering. But even in this darkness, a 5th seal was broken. The martyrs cried out from beneath the altar, longing for justice. And the heavens remained silent, waiting for the appointed time. The riders had come, but they had not come to destroy forever. Their purpose was to bring about the end that was needed for the beginning of something new. Judgment had come, but so had hope. Hope that through the darkness, God's justice would prevail. Moral of the story: the 4 horsemen serve as a warning to all humanity. Justice, war, greed, and death cannot be escaped, but the end of all things also makes way for a new beginning. It is the final victory of God and goodness that will transform the earth. The story reminds us of the consequences of sin and the power of divine judgment, but also the hope that through darkness, God's light will break through.